Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Lupin Limited Quarter 4 and Financial Year 2020 Earnings Conference Call. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to the Lupin management. Thank you, and over to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this earnings call of Lupin. My name is Kamal Sharma. With me, I have Vinita Gupta, Nilesh, Ramesh Swaminathan, Arvind Bothra, and Rajiv Pillai. You already have the results in your hands, and you would see that this has been a good quarter. If you look at sequentially, there has been a growth in sales. There has also been improvement in EBITDA margin by 5.3%. On a year-on-year basis also, the revenue line has gone up by 6%. Although at the EBITDA level we are down by about 1.5%. This has also been a year of settling a lot of overhangs which had been there in our system, and therefore we have a much stronger position to take the company ahead now. In order to take you through the financial details, I will hand this over to Ramesh, and then we'll open the floor for question and answers. Thank you, and over to Ramesh.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma. And friends, it's good to be back interacting with you all after a hiatus of 18 months. So very happy to be back with the Lupin family. In terms of the financials, the results are already with you, but let me take you through this again. Sales at rupees 3,791 crores for quarter 4 as compared to 3,716 crores for the previous quarter, would actually represent a 2% growth, but it's flat as compared to Q4 of 2019. US, our most important market, grew 13% sequentially. US dollars 212 as compared to $186 million in the previous quarter. Though, of course, there has been a decline vis-a-vis Q4 of last year, and that you recognize is essentially because of Renexa. The India region saw a growth of 15.2% vis-a-vis last year. Though, of course, you would also recognize that Q4 is weaker, is always the weakest quarter in the year, and that's why you found a decline vis-a-vis Q3. EMEA, of course, did very well. It grew at least 25% in vis-a-vis, in fact, Q3. And as compared to the previous year, it was about 7.5% growth. Growth is particularly strong in South Africa. In terms of the full year itself, U.S. sales were close to $800 million, vis-a-vis $777 million in FY19, a growth of about 3%. India region grew about 12.7%. In terms of the full year, that is. In terms of gross margins for this particular quarter, it was 62.9% vis-a-vis the previous quarter of 63.4%. Friends, you recognize that this is essentially a sales mix issue. In terms of the comparison with the previous year, it's down from 68.9%, but that you would also recognize is essentially because last year we had a large component coming in from ranolazine sales in the base itself. This quarter, of course, there were favorable impact. There's a favorable impact of the US dollar gains vis-a-vis the dollar, vis-a-vis the rupee, but unfortunately it's been negated by Forex in South Africa and Brazil. In terms of EBITDA margins, we delivered improvement in operational profitability on a sequential basis. It is 19.4%, which is a 530 basis points increase vis-a-vis the previous quarter. We closed the full year at an EBITDA margin of 18.7%, which is expected within the expected range of 18 to 20%. Vis-a-vis Q3, it is higher because of lower R&D and, of course, the sales promotion spend. And there's, of course, something to be said about the Forex also. In terms of ETR, we have done fairly well. Though, of course, for the full year, it's still hovering around the 40% mark. But going forward, you would expect it to certainly go down. And this is actually evident even in this particular quarter. For the full year next year, I think it should be around the 35% mark. This year, we did a lot of things in terms of the balance sheet restructuring. We undertook significant measures, decisions in terms of optimizing our capital allocation and work towards normalizing our ADR, which for various reasons has been higher than the standard. We divested our Japanese operations and undertook an impairment of the Gavis acquisitions to strengthen our balance sheet. And we believe that all of this would certainly result in better ratios over time. We, of course, used the divestiture of Kyowa to repay a large portion of the debt. And it will certainly, the overall debt equity ratio is very favorable, standing at around 0.12. I think we are very well positioned for better performance in the quarters to come. But for sure, there is of course this overhang of COVID, at least in the first quarter. But over to the team for and to you for further discussions on the various issues relating to the past year as well as the future. Hello?
Yeah, we can go ahead with questions now.
Yeah. Can go on to the question.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and two. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Prakash Agarwal from Axis Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity and congratulations on clearing out many facilities in the last quarter. Just wanted to understand what's the update for the the important facilities for Goa and the Indore. Where are we in terms of submitting the CAPA plan, and what is our estimation that by end of this year or financial year, what is the estimation for the resolution?
Sure. Hi, Prakash. This is Vinita here. As far as Goa is concerned, we completed our final update about 3-4 months ago. So the idea really, as we had shared earlier, March, April, we were going to go back to FDA for a re-inspection. There are still some activities, some additional enhancements that we've been implementing at the site, but the plan is basically in the next couple of months to go back to FDA that we're ready for a re-inspection. Pithampur will follow very shortly after that. In Pithampur, there was a much more detailed implementation on ground. We implemented the program that we call Quality First, and we've made very good progress with that. I feel really good about it. We've still been sending updates, but I think in the next couple of months, Goa, and very shortly after that, Pithampur. Probably even before Goa would be Somerset.
So when you say a couple of months, is completion of the CAPA plan?
So for Goa, we're done. Somerset, we're done as well. There's certain additional enhancements that we've been doing, which we would like to complete before we have interaction with the FDA.
Okay.
In Pithampur, while we're done with the specifics, but there are still certain additional work that we want to complete in the next 2-3 months before we go back.
Okay. So by next couple of months, we'll be done with our entire work that we plan to do and request the FDA for a re-inspection.
Yes, in a phased manner, likely Somerset, followed by Goa, and then Pithampur.
Understood. Okay, fair enough. And my second question is on the US business. So we saw a good Q&Q improvement. I understand there could be some LEVO impact which might have improved. So, but would there have been any COVID-related stocking? If you could just highlight how is the movement, how much of it is sustainable, and what is the expectation on albuterol? Thank you.
So we had some impact of COVID-related stocking in March, in particular as a March. But a big part of the ramp-up was really, levothyroxine as well. When it went from Q3, where we had 5% share to 13% share in Q4. So that ramp-up is starting to show. And we also had ramp up in other products. We had some of the flu products went up. Plus, we had a couple of recent launches. We launched Removo authorized generic in the quarter. That is a very nice launch for us. Recently launched Aprizo authorized generic as well. So another good launch for us that will build into fiscal year 21. So some impact of COVID right in March. And we are seeing, some softness in April, May. So we certainly will see the impact of COVID in Q1. But, the COVID impact aside, feel really good about our growth drivers for fiscal year 21. Apart from levothyroxine, pretty solid base business. Our base business actually has been very stable through fiscal year 20, and we've been able to really very minor price erosion. We've been able to offset that, more than offset that in terms of volume gains. So a combination of the strong base business plus the levo continued ramp up. Some of the new product launches that we've had in the tail end of fiscal year 20 that will really help us, the full year impact in fiscal year 21. And then we are very hopeful to get albuterol approval soon. We have had strong interaction with the agency, especially in the last couple of months, and hope to bring it to market a little bit sooner than we have stated in the past. So that should be a little good driver as well.
Any timelines you are attributing to albuterol approval? So this quarter, next quarter?
So because we had said that we would launch in the second half of the fiscal year, hopefully it will be a bit sooner.
Okay, perfect. Great, and all the best. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Aditya Podar from BDT Financial. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. I wanted to ask a question on ProAir, but you said that it's going to be launched in a bit before the second half, and the update for Goa and Indore has been given. I just want to know on the debt, what is the plan to bring down the debt, and any other non-core businesses, assets to be sold off?
The debt is down, because we repaid a huge chunk of it. So right now, even after, in fact, the year end, we actually paid off about $267 million, which is not obviously reflected in the figures because it's as of 31st March. The debt-equity ratio stands at around 0.12x. But there's something we said about the fact that the overall working capital has gone up between December and March, but we would do what it takes to bring it down to more acceptable levels the next few weeks, next few quarters.
All right, that's it. Happiness.
And I just add to it, we took a pretty hard look at all of our different subsidiaries and have determined that we wanted to divest Japan, but we don't have any other non-core assets. At this point in time, we are very strongly focused on building not only our two major regions, India and the US, but also the other markets.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Krishnendu Saha from Quantum Asset Management. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, Ramesh. Good to hear from you. Hope to see you soon. I just got a couple of questions. Is this a new norm this quarter with Japan out of the revenue stream and all? So is this EBITDA margin the new norm? So with 19.4% with other incomes and 14% without other incomes. And the second question is, in Japan, is there any contract for us to supply anything for the next 1 or 2 years with them? And the third question is, what would the effective tax rate be? This is so unlikely. Thank you. And how do you see the EBITDA margin going ahead?
Well, several questions in the same breath, but I'll take when it comes to tax rate, which is the third question that you asked. As you would recognize, this year has been close to about the 40% mark. But going forward, we've done a lot to actually restructure the business and of course, do what it takes to bring down the effective tax rate. We do believe that will be closer to the mid-30s, 34, 35 range, and progressively will certainly come down.
We are right. And is this the EBITDA margins for the quarter? Is this a base number we are looking at? This is the number without Japan, right? So is this?
No, so I'll take that question. As you recognize, the EBITDA margin is actually a function of several things. In terms of the realization that we have on products, and of course the kind of measures that we take to contain the cost, and of course the kind of R&D spend. And of course we spoke about the fact that there is albuterol, which is a possibility during the course of this year. But we'll take that apart. Overall, I think EBITDA would certainly be between the 19 and 20% range. And this is without taking into account the COVID impact in the first quarter. As you would know, there are several moving parts out there across various geographies. India, for example, has been impacted, and there are in this particular month, and for all practical purposes, we believe that it would indeed be the case when it comes to next month as well. There has been increase in expenses because of freight costs going up. There could be some increases because, again, raw material prices, and this is something that's not been quantified as yet. There is, of course, the impact in America itself, and Vinita will certainly take us through that story. It's going to be certainly impacting our business in the first quarter for sure. But if you would take that all apart, and if we maintain kind of status quo, we do believe that there is, there is certainly improvement going around between 19 to 20%. And this is without taking into account the forex impact.
Sure. Yeah, it does. It's fair enough. And just on the Japan, do we have any contracts to supply anymore for the next year or so, or this is just the business is off?
On Japan, as we had shared this in the past as well, there is a multi-year agreement to supply products that we were supplying out of India. And in fact, there's a couple more products that are getting added to that as well. So that part of the business will continue. It's obviously smaller, but it will continue.
Where would that line item be coming in from in the revenue item? Where would we see it?
It would be in the regular revenue line.
No, it's essentially sales, right? Because you're billing to Japan to a third party, so it is going to be coming in the other third party sales, of course, albeit at a lower margin though.
Oh, okay. It'll not be in APAC or nothing like that. So it'll be okay. Fair enough. I take it offline. Thank you.
Thank you.
To answer that part, we would club that into the APAC number.
Oh, sure. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Tushar from Motilal Oswal Securities Limited. Please go ahead.
So, thanks for the opportunity. Just a clarity on albuterol. So, are there any queries pending now with respect to?
No. Yeah, we responded to all the queries. And like I mentioned, we've had interactions, strong interaction with the agency the last few weeks on, and have responded to all the queries.
That's great to know. And just on the R&D spend, we have this fourth quarter with 9.1%. So any outlook for FY21?
If you want me to ask it, I would say that. Sorry, go ahead, Vinita.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, the R&D spend should be kind of the same level as last year, about the 1,500 crore range. On a full year basis, that is.
Got it. And just lastly, any MR additions in the domestic formulation side this year?
Yeah. So pre-COVID, we had a plan to add a few hundred MRs. Some of them will still get added because we actually spun out 3 divisions. Hello. Yeah, there's a lot of disturbance on the line. I think there's some. We spun out 3 divisions last year, but materially there'll be no additions. And obviously, in places where we feel that we don't want to fill up in the near term, we'll see what to do. But there won't be a material addition this year, especially, given that we have seen a slowdown in May, more so than April. Obviously, we watch the spend line very closely as we to see the growth coming back in India.
Got it. And just lastly on levothyroxine, if you can just help us with the market share currently and what kind of capacity utilization we stand at.
Yes, the market share, as I mentioned, it ramped up from the 5% level in Q3 to double digits, 13% level in Q4. And we are well positioned from a capacity standpoint to take like 20%, 20-25% share if we have the opportunity to.
Thanks a lot. That helps.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nitya Balasubramaniam from Bernstein. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. So my first question was on your biosimilars pipeline progress. If you can update us on where you are on pegfilgrastim to the US and ranibizumab.
Sure. So on pegfilgrastim, we actually are at a very good position. We just completed the PK study successfully. Now it's a question of wrapping up the product and filing. Some of it will still take a little bit of time, but before the end of the fiscal, we expect to file. And then obviously we will look for a quick approval. We are very excited with the fact that we've been able to cross all the hurdles that were there in developing the product. On ranibizumab, we have started the India-centric trial, and the plan is in Q3 to start a global clinical trial.
Okay. Are you planning on filing without a phase 3 in Fed?
I wouldn't be comfortable sharing our strategy. It is a complicated strategy as far as filing is concerned. But we have, like I was saying, we have been able to complete whatever clinical development plans were required to be able to file the product.
Okay, understood. Thank you. And my second one was on Solosec. What sort of an impact have you seen because of COVID? Obviously, clinics are shut and assisting acute therapy. We did notice a sharp downturn in the prescription share. Do you see that? Are you seeing that coming back up? And do you feel like the COVID impact has put a standard in the works?
Yeah, so there was significant impact of COVID on the OBGYN specialty per se, as well as Solosec. We saw really the visits to the OBGYN office come down to 20% level pre-COVID, and only for critical conditions. So we saw significant disruption with Solosec. From Q3, we have started to see a good ramp up into Q4 in January, and in February we started to see the COVID impact and this impacted the scripts, which came down to almost 45% pre-COVID levels, at the lowest. So in the last 4 weeks, we have started to see this stabilize. In April, we saw the script level hit the bottom, and since then, we've seen it grow slowly. However, we have taken some significant measures actually to optimize that business. I mean, we had realized that Solosec is going to be a slower build. I mean, had consistent growth, but still at a slower level. And through COVID, we just saw a strong reception to virtual calls. Doctors got very used to telehealth and taking virtual calls as opposed to the face-to-face interaction. So we have really restructured operating model going forward to a higher level of virtual investment. And really significantly reduced our operating spend and burn rate, nearly by 50%. We downsized really 90 people, in the last couple of weeks to be able to really reduce this burn. So now, having restructured the operating team, plus having the team focus on a different mix of virtual versus face-to-face interaction, starting to see scripts ramp up from the low of April. And the recent wins that we had, the Solosec was put on preferred position by ESI a couple of weeks ago. We also had very positive readouts of applicable analysis study to expand the use of Solosec. So we feel pretty good about growing the business, but at the burn rate that we can sustain while Solosec grows.
If I might ask you a follow-up, now with the measures in place, when do you see your specialty business breaking even?
Well, much sooner than what it was last quarter, I would say. It should be pretty soon. I would hope in fiscal year 22.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Anubhav Agarwal from Credit Suisse. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Vinita, one question on albuterol first. Just wanted to check, why is this product still in the shortage when IQVIA volume shows that now the product which was there is no longer there? Why is FDA still putting this under shortage right now?
Hi, Anubhav. So actually, the demand for albuterol went up significantly through COVID. Being a rescue inhaler, we saw a significant jump. I want to say something like 30-40% through through April, March as well as April. Since then, it is stabilized, but still at a level well above the pre-COVID levels. So given the respiratory distress, albuterol is a critical medicine required for treatment of COVID. So it is the demand has gone up. And from a supply perspective, we know that Perrigo launched in February, but have really limited share so far. And Cipla launched recently, but again stated that they're going to make products available over the next few months. So we do think there is short supply.
Okay. And just, I know data may not be available on this, but roughly, Teva mentioned before the generics came in that 40% of market was prescribed by generics. What would that number be right now? Very, very approximately.
Sorry?
So let's say what percentage of albuterol market is prescribed by physicians as generic prescription right now? For example, Teva mentioned before the generics came in that it was 40%. What would that number look like currently?
Right now, I think generics are at over 60%.
Yeah, but no, I was asking
because we have all the ADs put together. Okay,
sure. And just one question on famotidine also. I wanted to check how sticky is the volume that we gained. Our product is a suspension product. Do you think they could be shift away to tablet or to, let's say, move away to omeprazole at a certain point of time, or this is what we got is very sticky right now?
I mean, it seems like it is sticky right now. After the ranitidine debacle, we saw a good amount of shift into famotidine, and are in a very good position to leverage that.
But is it a supply shortage issue on that oral solid side which is benefiting us, and once that is back, we may have issues? I'm just thinking from a customer perspective, patient perspective, would the preference be higher for oral molecule versus the suspension? Or patient is indifferent?
Sorry?
I'm saying on the famotidine side, is the patient indifferent between the suspension form?
Yeah. Yeah. So, maybe we can take this question offline. I don't have the mix of old solid versus what it was prior to this going to be changed, and we'll take it offline.
Sure. And just my last question was on Solosec. I just wanted to check, after the Express Script preferred supplier, will a net pricing, which is a combination of the rebate to Express Script and the coupon strategy we have, will in the short term net pricing be down, and hopefully till the time volumes come up, will we see a dip in Solosec sales and ultimately getting the benefit out of it? Will it follow that kind of curve?
Actually, that's a very good question. The net pricing has actually improved quarter-on-quarter. Given the other measures we took, we changed our copay from 25 to 75. Ramped it up, through the last 6 months. So that in itself had a positive impact on net pricing, and with Express Scripts now, the net price will improve even further.
Okay. So that copay is benefiting you. Okay. Thank you very much.
That's right. Okay.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Neha Manpuria from JP Morgan. Please go ahead.
Thank you for taking my question. Vinita, on Solosec, I remember you mentioning in one of the calls that, the cost for Solosec was somewhere around $12 to $13 million, a quarter. Is that number right pre-COVID? So the 60% reduction that you mentioned is essentially on this $50 million cost base? Is that the way to look at it?
Yeah, roughly, yeah.
In that case, how should we look at, the entire leveraging this cost base? Because, we have been looking at in-licensing deals, to leverage the cost that we have for Solosec. Do you think COVID slows our ability to augment our, specialty portfolio in the US?
Actually, COVID, potentially makes other opportunities available, but it really helps us get to break even sooner just on Solosec, and we still have some of our legacy products, margins that Metrogyne contributes to the top and bottom line. The Intara contributes to the top and bottom line. So, we believe that with the current, burn and Solosec growth that we have planned, plus, we continue to look for opportunities. In fact, we're seeing more and more companies that are struggling through COVID and are open to having discussions around trying to find synergies.
Okay, understood. So the specialty investment continues to be a priority for us as we look ahead from a medium-term perspective.
Sorry?
The specialty investment continues to be a priority for us in the medium term? That hasn't changed?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It is important to us. We just determined that based on, the fact that Solosec is going to be a slow build, it makes sense to do it at a different operating burn.
Understood. And on the US, on the generic business in the US, if we look beyond the Levo ramp-up and Albuterol, how should we look at the growth from that base? Because you'd have two large products in our base by depth.
Yeah. Beyond that, I think we have a very rich pipeline. They have looking beyond fiscal year 21. We have on the innovation front, Suriva, that we hope to get approved for this fiscal year. But will be launched the next couple of years. We have other 45 products that come to market. We have Levo will continue to be a material product going forward. As we look at it, Albuterol as well. We look at it as a material opportunity. But, looking at Deriva, other pipeline products coming in, we have also invested further into our innovation pipeline. We recently, this past year, we filed Vinita as well. So expanded our pipeline. And then we have injectable products as well that we have filed. And this past year, again, 3 injectable products filed, multiple first filed.
Understood. And my last question, on Foster, what is the timeline for launch in Europe and how material can that opportunity be for us?
So we intend to launch later this calendar year in Europe, third quarter, fiscal.
Okay.
And would this be a pretty big brand?
Is this how material would this product be for us? I'm assuming it will take some time to ramp up.
That's right. It will take time to ramp up. It's not, it's not going to be overnight. But in the next 2 to 3 years, we look at it as a huge opportunity for our Europe business per se and our Malaysian business in Europe.
Understood. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Hari Belawat from TechFin Consultant. Please go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. This is regarding the financial results which are published every quarter and yearly. The exceptional item is appearing for last many quarters, continuously. And in fact, if we see FY20 and FY19, these are affecting even the bottom line also. So what is this exceptional item, particularly this impairment of intangible assets IPs? If you can throw light on this, please.
Yeah, this has been appearing last couple of years. So this year, for example, we made a huge profit when it comes to, in fact, the sale of Kiowa itself. Apart from that, we actually had a loss when it comes to sale of KCC. We also took some provisions when it comes to, in fact, the Texas settlement that we had in America. And on Gavis impairment, we took again a knock. So all of this actually comes in the full year results. Well, it's exceptional, and that's why it's coming in at the line that it does. And this is in line with the accounting principles.
I agree, sir. But this IPs, impairment of IPs, what is that? Other disinvestment, we understand profit or loss is okay. What happens to these IPs? We have acquired at certain cost and we are not using these IPs anymore, or so that you have provided in your accounting?
Yeah, the reason is because any asset that you purchase is supposed to be bringing in certain cash flows. If the cash flows are not in line with what we projected, there is obviously a need for an impairment of that particular carrying value. And that is what is reflected in terms of this impairment.
Actually, bottom line, these exceptions have converted your bottom line in red, in fact. FY20 and even FY19 also reduced. Anyway, if that is the practice, we accept it. Yeah, another one is, sir, these discontinued operations, you have shown a profit of 130 crores during this year. How is the discontinued operations are giving profit to us, PAT?
It's actually a reclassification of the financials the way the accounting standards warrant it. This is essentially earmarked for our Kiowa Japanese operations to the extent that it's not been continuing. So the full year that is.
Oh. Anyway, these are all accounting practices, but it gives a different picture of the company's performance, overall. Yes. Just last question. Anything we are doing on, for corona drugs or a vaccine? We are a big company. R&D expenditure also is very large. What are any steps you have taken for any new drug or vaccine?
We have multiple drugs that were relevant for the COVID crisis. The 2 major ones one that was short-term, hydroxychloroquine. But the other that was major is azithromycin that ramped up significantly. And we have significant shares of azithromycin, 40% shares in the U.S. market. So we ramped up our supply significantly to serve the needs through the COVID crisis. The other major drug from my existing portfolio is albuterol. As I mentioned earlier, the demand for albuterol went up significantly. So we are hoping to be able to get that approval and participate in the market soon with that product. Beyond that, we have explored our antimicrobials. We have a pretty rich pipeline of anti-infectious, antiviral products that are still being explored to see if there are any that work for COVID.
You and other things greatly during this FY21, I understand.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vishal Manchanda from Nirmal Bang. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity. Could you share your capex guidance for FY21 and FY22?
Sorry, last year was 500 odd crores, and we believe that it should be around the same vicinity. Obviously, it really is linked in fact to our MTP and the way we expect that growth to take place, the kind of products that we bring to the market and so on. But it would be certainly in line with it's not going to be very different from what we have spent in the past.
Ramesh, as we discussed, it's going to be slightly more than last year's number. Last year's number was a significant low. It's going to be slightly more as we're adding capacities for certain sets of products, and it will remain similar for the next fiscal as well.
Right. So that includes the maintenance capex. Is that right?
Yes.
And the depreciation expense was kind of sharply lower on a quarter-over-quarter basis. So should we take this as the base number going forward? About 210 crores on a quarterly basis. Is that the base number to look at?
It's been reset because of the amortization. Depreciation and amortization come together because of the impairment that we've taken on our intangibles and of course the business that we have sold and so on. It gets reset, and yes, going forward, this particular quarter would be an indication of things to come.
Okay. And could you kind of call out the net forex benefit during the quarter?
Yeah, we could. It's close to about 120 crores.
Okay. And just one final one. You have been talking about an approval for Foster inhaler in Europe. So is that due anytime now?
Well, hopefully soon. We expect to launch it later in the year in Europe. But we are hoping in the next quarter we should get the approval.
Would this be for the MDI version or the DPI version?
It's for the MDI version.
And what is the sales for the MDI version in Europe?
It's $500 million plus.
That's for the MDI version only.
That's right.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sameer Baisiwala from Morgan Stanley. Please go ahead.
Hi, thanks. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back, Ramesh. So, a few questions. So, on albuterol, if you were to get approval and the timelines that you mentioned over next 3 months, would you be having a staggered launch, or do you think your supply chain is good enough for full-blown launch?
We've been preparing well for this launch. So, we will hope to maximize it.
Okay, excellent. Vinita, on Solosec, for the new indication, trichomoniasis, is the drug presently being used for that indication off-label, or do you think getting the new indication approved would give a good boost to sales?
It's hard to say if physicians are using it off-label for trichomoniasis, but obviously the positive top-line results and getting it to the label will make a material difference to really try to expand the use of the product. Yeah, so at present, so it's still a little bit away before we can get it into the label. But our medical teams, the MSLs, will start working on it right away.
Okay, excellent. And Vince, I missed you when you were talking about Spiriva. Did you mention that you will get the approval in the current year?
Yeah, we've had pretty, we have a very strong file in place, and we hope to get the approval soon. I mean, of course, we can't launch for a couple of years, but we hope to get approval this year.
Oh, great. So if I understand correctly, I think the key patent expires middle of 2022. So maybe that should be. But what about the underlying IP court case?
Yeah, so we're likely to get a tentative.
Sorry?
So we'll likely get a tentative. The court case continues, so
Okay.
we'll likely get a tentative.
Yeah, but how do you plan to take IP part forward? I mean, would you go for the full cycle?
Litigate, and we'll see based on how it unfolds, what makes sense. It's a material opportunity for us, so we will determine what's the best way to maximize it.
Okay, excellent. And just one final one. On complex injectable portfolio, can you just update us, and you mentioned something but it was not very clear. So how many filings have you done? And these are for the substantive big products that you've been talking of in the past. And when do we start seeing the approval cycle?
So I think to date, we probably have maybe 6 to 10 filings, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not recalling the actual number for the past couple of years, but made progress on. We've not had any of the complex injectable filings as of yet. With the exception of the Peptident, which continues to be a nice opportunity. That where we are trying to figure out how soon we can launch. On the depot products, with without Consta, Paliperidone, we made significant progress in the pipeline. So it's still in the pipeline phase, but we have gone past proof of concept and have started working on the clinical study. So there's a good progress on that platform.
And the filings for these products would be current fiscal or from next fiscal?
No, it'll be next fiscal.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much.
They're going to clinical trials now this year, and a little bit delayed also because of COVID.
Got it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Darshit Shah from Nirvana Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. So basically, I would like to know your assessment on the recent, US FDA move to kind of recall metformin extended release tablets. So what kind of impact do you see? I mean, would it be a kind of normal batch recall for a few of the companies, or you probably think it might be a national recall like it happened in other products like Ranitidine and so?
So currently we see it as not an across-the-board recall for metformin. We see it for certain batches, certain kinds of formulations as well. So I think it's still going piecemeal. We don't see it as an across-the-board issue for metformin.
And anything have we heard from the US FDA for our products in this regard?
So there's a discussion on one particular batch that we'll be having with the FDA, which we would likely end up recalling.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Surya Patra from Phillip Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for this opportunity. Just if you can update on what is the revenue number for the branded segment for this quarter, and I'll ask a subsequent question, ma'am.
Yeah, similar level like last quarter, $4 million.
Okay. Secondly, on the albuterol again, if we consider all the three brands are like interchangeable, and this is a kind of a billion-dollar product opportunity, slightly more. And if that way, if you consider, then it is already a 6-player market it has become. So you will be joining as a 7th player or so. So going ahead, what is the kind of aspiration that you are having, and what is the kind of level of competition and pricing scenario, all that you are foreseeing for this product opportunity in US?
Just can you repeat your question for albuterol? I couldn't hear all of it.
Yeah. So if I say that this all three brands in the albuterol, those are interchangeable, then already for these three brands put together, there are 6 players in the market, and we will be joining the market as 7th player, and possibly there could be a couple more competition going in. So generally, I'm trying to assess that. Okay, what is your expectation about or assessment about the competition in this space and the pricing scenario, and your aspiration out of this product opportunity in the US?
Yeah, we believe that, right now the way to look at it is you have the three brand companies, the AGs are really the same as the brands. And you have Perrigo as the first true generic, Cipla is another true generic, and as, so it's like AGs and three of our generic players. But given the market conditions right now, the way we look at it, it is a pretty attractive market from a pricing perspective, and we will be very, prudent in how we build share. We certainly expect to get a fair share, for a double-digit share, and have planned that capacities accordingly.
Okay. Okay. And on the about the kind of R&D spend or on the anything on the cost rationalization front going ahead, because obviously the kind of margin levels that we have been delivering or seeing since last some time, so that is bit suppressed always looks like, because of the kind of aggressive spending kind of this thing spending style towards R&D or something. So in the cost point, do you really see some improvement going ahead, either because of some of the activities that may not be there going ahead? For example, your remediation expenses could be possibly getting rationalized, or anything on the cost front that you can give us some indication with structural in nature.
Yeah, Vinita, you want me to take that question?
Yes, please.
Yeah, the endeavor is constant. The earlier part of the discussion actually alluded to the fact that it's actually a function of three things. The kind of products that you bring to the market, the kind of costs that you incur, and of course the R&D spends and the like. I don't want to talk more about, in fact, the products, which anyway would happen over time, and we are, as you would know, geared up for a lot of things. So we have our innovations portfolio, we have biosimilars, we have specialty and complex injectables and the like. But all of those will happen over time. But one thing that is constant out here is, of course, trying to redraw the boundaries when it comes to, in fact, on the cost front. And this is obviously going to be across several lines. We've had a continuous engagement program with, in fact, leading consultants working on several lines. So we have a program for improvement on the procurement front, which is really the raw materials, alternate vendors and the like, the route synthesis when it comes to conversion. We are working on, in fact, the SG&A, the R&D expense front, and for sure on the overall workforce itself. So we have actually seen some good results, in fact, in the course of this year. Obviously, it's not so visible to you because it's actually camouflaged in several parts. And there are several moving parts there itself, amongst clients. So, but as we unfold, as we go into the future, I would imagine there would be, significant visibility on that. Towards the end of the next fiscal, that is, you would actually see a closing date which is certainly superior. But all of this, of course, assuming that normalcy returns in terms of the business. As you would know, the first quarter has been impacted, would be impacted because of COVID across various parts of the globe. India for sure, there are dark clouds. There are dark clouds in America. There is forex fluctuation in the emerging markets, and of course there is business that is down in certain in other parts also. So those are again some of the impondables that you can't actually talk about. But in a general sense, you would expect the cost to be there's going to be tremendous focus on cost, and that will be contained.
Okay. I think if I can just add, so one part is, one of the things that we've had as challenges, some of the cost optimization we've done is actually reduction in the realization as well, and that's why it's not gotten reflected. But what Vinita shared as far as reducing the SG&A in the US on the specialty front, that was part of the overall rationalization as well, and that will reflect in the numbers.
Okay. Just on one question on the tax front, Ramesh sir, if you can just clarify this 30-33% kind of a guidance what you are giving for the current year, is it just because of that divestment of Japan that is resulting in?
No, we have done some significant restructuring. So we have actually taken issues upfront in terms of trying to bring down the losses in various subsidiaries. Some tax planning in terms of the way we actually position our domicile, our IP. Then of course, and of course the kind of products coming in from various parts in terms of the overall footprint. In terms of taking full advantage of SEZs and the like. So all of this will bear fruit, and that's why you would find a reduction in the ETR from 40% to much lower levels that I indicated.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nimesh Mehta from Research Delta Advisors. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Most of the questions have been answered. Just one thought I would like to have from your side is, now that the lockdown-related logistics issues are behind us, how do you see the migrant labour-related issues impacting us and also in the industry? I mean, does it mean that the logistic issues will once again be a problem for us, and in that case, some smaller companies in Indian market may take over market? How do you see the situation? Yes, guidance will be helpful.
I would say that the logistics issue, the biggest problem with the logistics issue was the fact that courier companies actually had switched off. And I think that was a big challenge. I would say that we've been able to, in fact, I think the bigger companies did better. And I would, going forward, I don't see the logistics issue as an issue, even in the current status with the red zones, green zones, we are able to make product available adequately. I think the real challenge that we're seeing in India at this point of time is demand. Specifically in May, we believe that the market, especially for acute, has significantly degrown. Chronic also there is not increase because, while doctors are starting to open up, there isn't adequate footfall. And I think, May and June will go in that state of repair, and we really see the market taking off only after.
But, because of the migrant labour going back to their homeland, you don't see any particular issue because of that. Is that a fair understanding?
Yes. Not specifically on that count.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We take the last question now?
Sure. We take the last question from the line of Prakash Agarwal from Axis Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Clarification and one or two more questions. So one is on the press release you speak about your Florida, inhalation facility inspection by US FDA but done by UK MHRA. Can you clarify? Would they come back when the things normalize, or is it a temporary EIR, or how do we think about it?
No, it was basically Prakash, based on the reciprocity between the UK MHRA and the FDA. The FDA inspected the site for Foster that we had filed both from Coral Springs as well as Pithampur. We now have approval at both sites to manufacture Foster. To have the flexibility from both sides, but we wanted to build to be able to, be able to wrap up both albuterol and phosphate effectively.
So basically, FDA did it on behalf of MHRA, but it is a permanent, status of the site.
Perfect. Great.
And we are really thinking of leveraging it, as not right away, but we are thinking of leveraging it for some government business in the U.S.
Understood. Great. Thank you for that. And I missed your comment on Levo. So you mentioned you are the mid-teens now, 13 to 15%, and fiscal 21 you have expectation to go to 20-25. Is that right, or 30-35? I didn't miss that.
No, in terms of market share, 30-35 would be a dream, and it certainly would be tough, right, from a rational share perspective. But we'll be very, very happy to get to 20% plus.
20%. That's fair. So, okay. And one more on metformin. So, when FDA is talking about metformin NDMA issues, it captures even the entire basket, like the Glumetza of the world, including the metformin generics.
Yes, so I think FDA has obviously been evaluating. So it's the IR products, it's the ER products, it's the Protomeds, the Glumetzas, and there's a whole bunch of products, Glucophage. So there's a whole bunch of products out there.
Okay, so it would be the entire basket. As of now, we have just heard, or we are evaluating one recall, is what you are saying.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And last one, from a demand perspective, what I understand is both India and US, because of obviously lockdown and patients not able to go to doctors, prescription levels have come down. But when you compare India and US, which business is seeing more impact on volume? Would it be US or the India business?
So volume is obviously much higher in the US from an overall perspective, right? But I think in the US, I think while generics continues, and there's some pressure right now in India on the branded generic right now, obviously the impact is more.
Okay.
So the prescriptions, Prakash, are overall in the US, prescriptions are down 20% even now. When you compare it to the baseline pre-COVID, just because of people have just not done doctor visits or got prescriptions or full prescriptions. So it is improving week after week, but it's still 20% down overall.
And as Nilesh said, India will be more, I understand, because of the lockdown issue.
Yes, but I think in India, I think the good thing that we've seen is that in green zones, even in orange zones, there's a fair bit of returning back to normal as well. So obviously there are, I think there's, the India story is still panning out, but I think there's parts where normalcy is coming, and there's, obviously the, particularly the red zones, which is also the biggest, in some ways the bigger part of the market, which remains a big concern.
Okay, and the last one, we had a couple of licensing deals, with AbbVie on Bolt-1 inhibitor and Boehringer with the MAK inhibitor. So is there any progress there, and are we expecting any milestones in 21-22?
Sure. So, yes, as far as the BI deal is concerned, basis certain developments, we would expect a milestone in FY22. There are certain clinical developments which have to be done, and they've been basically delayed by a quarter thanks to COVID. On AbbVie also, obviously, there are a bunch of future milestones as well, but that one in particular is more in the overall AbbVie development portfolio. We feel very good about the compound. We believe that it will move ahead, but obviously, there is an assimilation process internally before they take it forward.
Okay, perfect. Great, and all the best.
Thank you. I now hand the conference over to the management for closing comments.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for connecting on the call, and hope you had reasonable answers to all your questions. Look forward to seeing you next quarter and connect with you again for a chat. Thank you very much, and all the best.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Lupin Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you all for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.